Springfield Talk 1041. Welcome to the show, everyone. Thursday is today. We will have Chrissy Fulnecki joining us. We also have author of the week, sponsored by ABC Books on North Glenstone. The author is, it's a timely one. You know, so often we do authors that have newer books coming out or that just got published. This one is actually a couple years old, but it is all about the massive corruption within the Southern Poverty Law Center, which, as you know, was subject to some indictments in the last week or so regarding fraud, among other allegations, setting up bank accounts, funneling money to white supremacists, according to the indictment, and the infamous Charlottesville riots in which Joe Biden said Nazis were emerging from forest with torches and veins bulging. And, it turns out, according to the indictment, Southern Poverty Law Center not only helped create that entire scenario, but they were actually busing people there in order to have that entire scene. And the idea is that they were paying these white supremacists to create different scenarios that they could then raise money off of. Say, look at these horrible things going on. You need to give us money to stop these things. While in many instances, according to the indictment, they're the ones that actually were making them happen. And this book, well ahead of its time, though the information in the book, it wasn't anything really secret. It's just Southern Poverty Law Center has long been validated by Democrats and media outlets, even locally across the country. Springfield News Leader has used them in order to label people as hate groups, despite the fact that that listing has been used by people, one in particular, to try to murder people based off of the list. And there's long been allegations of all sorts of corruption internally and externally, but with the efforts of, again, outlets like the News Leader, they've just been given this protection, and this indictment's kind of made it impossible for the media to pretend as if there weren't allegations, because they become kind of official now. And I thought, boy, it'd be a great time to talk with the author of that book. So we'll have that coming up in the 8 o'clock hour. And also, okay. I think around a little after 6:30, we're going to have Mike Moon on. I've been communicating with him this morning. I wanted to have him on because Missouri is one of only two states that does not allow the citizens to see the business taking place in the Senate, with the exception of one other state in Missouri. Every other state, the citizens can get online and you can, watch your elected official debate the issues of the day. And despite the fact that, the Senate's run by Republicans in Missouri that talk about transparency, there has been a big fight against this happening. And there was an issue recently regarding what was supposed to be some footage of the vote, but the video went black. So that you weren't able to see who actually voted which way. And so anyhow, I reached out to Senator Mike Moon and asked if he could come on and talk a little bit about this. And so I believe he'll be joining us just after 6:30 this morning. Ted Turner passing away. Ted Turner was, among other things, known as the founder of CNN. He owned the Atlanta Braves. He was pretty bombastic, and he's really been out of the public limelight for some time for health issues. And it's interesting because my first thought, as it may have been for a number of you, is, oh, well, he's a liberal guy. He was known as being liberal, left-leaning. And much of that, of course, is inferred just because of CNN itself, though Ted Turner no longer owned it. He was married to Jane Fonda and said things, I guess. This is what's funny. I think about what constitutes a person that is on the left today. And then I wonder, I don't have a mental catalog of everything that Ted Turner ever said in terms of politics, but I wonder where Ted Turner would fall on that scale today, versus just this sense and idea that, oh yeah, he was a pretty liberal guy. And I just, again, just off the top of my head, I don't know really where that stacks up compared to where these networks are today, where the network leadership is today. Would he actually still be considered to be on the left? Or would he be like John Fetterman, is considered a betrayer of the cause because he is reasonable, though he generally votes Democrat. At the same time, he's like, Trump's not really Hitler, and the Republicans aren't really Nazis. And of course, they're attempting to oust him completely from the Democrat Party. And it's just, it was a thought that brushed past my mind when I thought, oh yeah, Ted Turner, that liberal news guy, lack of a better term. And then I wonder if he would even be that today. Very interesting thought. In a lot of ways, he was kind of Trump-like. Perhaps not politically, or the fact that Trump once upon a time described him, or he was a Democrat. Maybe they were more alike than one would even think. He was somewhat bombastic. He did things that you're, quote, not supposed to do, not necessarily because they were unethical or immoral, but because that's just not how you do things. In fact, after acquiring the Atlanta Braves, there were a number of rule changes to baseball that occurred because of things that Ted Turner did. I thought it was just an interesting insight write-up on him, and Trump and a number of other notables have posted comments regarding Ted Turner, and I thought I'd just read through some of those. I don't know. I think I'm going to do a little deeper dive. Why exactly? What made him at one point get labeled as a lefty guy, as a liberal guy, and what does that look like today? Springfield's Talk 1041, the Pyramid Roofing Company text line 447 KSGF. Now the latest news update.
And the first alert forecast from Ozarks First meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by St. Clair of the Ozarks Home Improvements. Today we'll see sunny skies with a high near 66. Tonight clear with a low around 47. For your Friday, a slight chance for showers in the afternoon, otherwise sunny with a high near 77. And for Saturday, sunny with a high near 79.
Hunter Hardscapes and Outdoor. If you want it done by the absolute best, then you want it done by Daniel Hunter and his crew. I recommend you read reviews on their site, hunterhardscapes.com. Of course, I've got a review up there, as do a number of other folks. And listen, you might be looking for the relatively speaking, more moderate outdoor patio, if you will, like I had put together by Hunter Hardscapes. Or you may be looking for real high-dollar stuff. And if you're looking for the really high dollar and you're thinking, well, yes, I am, but he doesn't even know. He's talking high dollar in his mind. I'm talking high dollar. Then Hunter Hardscapes is for you as well. The projects that they have undertaken are quite impressive. But at the same time, it's nice that, maybe if you're not in that 0.01%, you can still, like me, work with them, work within a budget, find out what you can do, and have the absolute best put something together for you. And landscaping, in addition to the hardscaping, lighting, the drainage issue, a real big one when it comes to home ownership, obviously very important, and businesses as well. So any and all of that they can take care of. Cost calculator as well on the site, give you a ballpark estimate of what you might be looking at based off what you are looking to do. Before and after pics as well. HunterHardscapes.com. Recommend them very, 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 very highly. All right, I'm already switching things around because I started talking about Ted Turner here. And I haven't thought about Ted Turner in a while. And my first thought is, oh yeah, that liberal tycoon. Owned the Braves, CNN, if you ever watch Turner classic movies or TNT, that's all his stuff. But politically, in my mind, he was a liberal guy. And then I think to myself, well, compared to what does that look like compared to today? And honestly, I don't know. I haven't had really the time to deep dive and think, well, what is it that he has said in the past, positions he's taken in the past, that in my mind and the minds of a lot of people really earned him that label as a lefty or a liberal or a Democrat. And it's been so long since he has been out there been vocal or really put his thoughts out there on anything. I don't know. I hadn't really thought about it for a while, and how much things have changed since then in the Democrat Party. I mean, it could have been the 90s since he really was outspoken anyway. And he wasn't, as I recall, overly political, where it was constantly political, but clearly there was some recognition of him being a Democrat, as best as I remember. Some of the it's sort of a weird thing to talk about because I don't really, in a detailed fashion, remember, and so I'm not in a position to be like, yeah, he was a real lefty because this, and this. But this is kind of my point, and one of the reasons I wanted to talk about it is it would be interesting to look at, okay, what is somebody that would be considered a liberal, progressive CEO mogul today, and where would Ted Turner fall on the political spectrum then compared to where someone like him is today? I suspect he'd be considered somewhat moderate. He's a billionaire, founded CNN, TNT, TBS. And let's see, which one of these did I want to read through first? I wanted to read through some of the statements that have been made. Donald Trump commented on the passing of the media mogul, referring to him as one of the greats of all time in a Truth Social post. Quote, Ted Turner, one of the greats of all time, just died. He founded CNN, sold it, and was personally devastated by the deal because the new ownership took CNN, his, quote, baby, and destroyed it. It became woke and everything that he is not all about. Maybe the new buyers, wonderful people, will be able to bring it back to its former credibility and glory. Regardless, however, one of the greats of broadcast history and a friend of mine, whenever I needed him, he was there, always willing to fight for a good cause. Now, he died, according to the reports, from Lewy body dementia, which I do believe that is what, I think Robin Williams had that. Is that what also, no, that's separate from what Bruce Willis has, isn't it? I don't expect you to actually know that offhand.
No, but I'll look.
I think what Bruce Willis has is different, but I do believe the Lewy body dementia was what Robin Williams had, and that stands out because I think that's the first time I really ever heard of it to any focused degree. This apparently is what took the life of Ted Turner.
Robin Williams had it. Bruce Willis did not. He has FTD, frontotemporal dementia.
Yeah, I think it's obviously a different thing there. Part of what Trump also noted is Ted was an intensely involved, committed leader, intrepid, fearless, always willing. I'm sorry, scratch that. This is Mark Thompson, chairman and CEO of CNN. Ted was an intensely involved and committed leader, intrepid, fearless, and always willing to back a hunch and trust his own judgment. He was and always will be the presiding spirit of CNN. Ted is the giant on whose shoulders we stand, and we will all take a moment today to recognize him and his impact on our lives and the world. Now, of course, if you, again, look at President Trump's statement, he would strongly disagree with the assessment from the current head of CNN that CNN is still guided by the spirit of Ted Turner, because Trump's assessment is that he was devastated by what shambles that CNN and trash it has been turned into. Of course, now I don't know for sure either which way. I mean, obviously CNN's going to say that, but I did want to read the New York Post here because I don't know. I just thought it had some interesting and kind of humorous facts about Ted Turner, some kind of tragic at the same time. Michael Kaplan and Will Zimmerman together in the New York Post writing, "The mouth of the South has gone silent." Ted Turner, the man who founded CNN, the first 24-hour news channel in 1980, died Wednesday at age 87 of complications related to Lewy body dementia. Few billionaires knew how to have as much fun with money, be it buying up more land than anyone else in the U.S., winning America's Cup, or purchasing his hometown baseball team, the Atlanta Braves, and treating himself to a front row seat, singing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game," and storming the turf as players crossed home plate. Sometimes his ego was his own worst enemy. Turner was only a year into his 2-decade ownership of the Braves in 1977 when he got so fed up with their 16-game losing streak that he told the team's manager he was fired for 2 weeks and took matters into his own hands. See, this is where some of this I think, a little Trump-like. Quote, Ted said, "I could do a better job managing the team," put on a uniform, and went down to manage them. That, according to Greg Hughes, formerly the head of communication for Turner Sport, now executive VP of communication for NBC Sports. Not that Ted Turner knew what he was doing. Phil Necro, a Hall of Famer who pitched for the Braves for 19 years, recalled to ESPN in 2013 how he jokingly asked Turner, quote, "Ted, what spot you got me hitting in today?" And he said, "Hell, I don't know. You want to lead off? You want to hit second or third? We just lost 16 in a row. You've been here long enough. Hit wherever you want to." I said, "I don't think that's going to work. Put me in that 9th spot." It only got worse from there, with the team adding a 17th loss, beaten by the Pirates 2-1, but Turner still made history. The rules of baseball had to be quickly changed, noted Terry McGuirk, who began working with Turner at the age of 21 and is now chairman of the Atlanta Braves. After that, anyone who owned stock in a team was forbidden to manage it. Quote, this was a comment from Turner at the time, "If I'm smart enough to save $11 million to buy the team, I ought to be smart enough to manage it." McGurk said it was just the kind of novel shock therapy that Ted applied to almost any unsuccessful business on its way to becoming successful. On another occasion, after recruiting star pitcher Andy Messersmith, Turner assigned him the number 17. But instead of using his player's name on the back of the jersey, Turner put the word channel, a reference to his WTBS TV station, which was Channel 17 on the dial. Quote, every time the camera was in center field, it showed Channel 17. That was another rule change that Major League Baseball had to make. Characterizing Turner, Hughes called him dumb like a fox. He didn't come across as a highbrow intellectual. He had a southern accent and was really loud. But he was a total extrovert, gifted, funny, and incredibly smart. The foghorn leghorn persona certainly worked with the ladies, and when it came to womanizing, Turner, who wed 3 times, was nothing if not honest. Prior to marrying Jane Fonda in 1991, according to Time magazine, Turner warned her not to expect monogamy. When somebody complimented him on the beauty of Jane Fonda, Turner replied, quote, yep, and if she doesn't stay beautiful, the next one will be even better. Fonda once told The New Yorker of their marriage, quote, he needs someone to be there 100% of the time. He thinks that's love. It's not love. It's babysitting. A decade after their 2001 divorce, according to The Hollywood Reporter, the 73-year-old Turner had 4 girlfriends, with each getting him for a week at a time. He never wed again, likening that marriage history to baseball. Quote, I remember the first rule of the game, 3 strikes and you're out. In his autobiography, Turner admitted, unfortunately, I was better in sailing and business than I was in marriage. He earned another nickname, Captain Outrageous, after serving as skipper on the racing yacht Courageous in 1977 and winning the America's Cup for the New York Yacht Club. Quote, he loved the competition, Robert Goldberg, co-author of Citizen Turner, told the New York Post. He loved the rowdy fun. He loved the drinking. He loved the women. I think he just loved the whole sailor lifestyle. But Turner embarrassed himself with a drunken press conference afterwards, winning, reportedly sipping from a bottle of aquavit and, at one point, sliding under a table and raising with a bump on his head. He was known for years as a hard drinker, a habit he inherited along with his initial fortune from his father, Ed. In 1963, when Ted was working with his father at the family billboard company in Savannah, Georgia, Ed Turner, the father, was feeling nervous on the eve of a major business deal, according to a Virginia Pilot review of the book, Citizen Turner, The Wild Rise of an American Tycoon. Ted, just 25 at the time, responded by calling his own father a coward. Soon after, his father put a gun to his own head and committed suicide. Turner would later tell 60 Minutes that his father, quote, was not a coward. He was very brave when he shot himself. Ted used the billboard money to purchase an Atlanta UHF station in 1970, beginning the Turner Broadcasting System, one of the first basic cable channels before founding CNN. While it was a huge success, Turner often found himself highly leveraged. Appealing once on CNN's Larry King Live, Turner half-joked, the breaking news is that Ted Turner is broke. Hughes remembers being with him near CNN headquarters in Atlanta in 1987 when Turner excused himself to step into a bank. I asked him what he was doing in the bank, recalled Hughes. He said, I was seeing if they'd loan me $1 billion. Surprised, Hughes asked if it scared Turner to be $1 billion in debt. Nope, Turner said. Do you know how rich you have to be to owe somebody $1 billion? In 1996, Turner sold Turner Broadcasting System, Inc., which by then included CNN, TBS, TNT, to Time Warner for a reported $7.5 billion. At the time of his death, Turner was worth $2.8 billion, according to Forbes. Turner lavishly donated to and invested in causes close to his heart, such as giving $3 billion to the UN and buying up some 2 million acres of land across the country, particularly in the American West, including Montana, Nebraska, New Mexico, for preservation. He was one of the top 5 private landowners in the U.S. He also became involved in increasing bison populations and owned more than 45,000 of the animals on his various ranches. As he wrote in Call Me Ted when he bought his Flying D Ranch in Montana in 1989, quote, part of my desire to own this land was to make sure it was never developed. He later donated enormous amounts of the acreage to his own nonprofit Ecosystems Research Institute, with the Turner Foundation now run by his family, which includes his 5 children. I wouldn't say he didn't value money, Hughes said of Turner's spending. I think he saw it more as a game than he did as an accumulation thing. More like, this is how I'm winning. I thought it was sort of an interesting, quick overlook at Ted Turner and his personality. And what I see is his success to some degree, the way that Donald Trump has been so successful, and not by being some brilliant, book-smart individual, not by being the most charming person in the room, though in both of their own ways, I suppose they were, but by just being bold, grabbing life by the horns and doing things that people would often say, you just can't do that, and then proving them otherwise. Springfield's Talk, 1041, I'm Nick Reed. All right, we're going to chat coming up here in just a couple of moments. State Senator Mike Moon, there has been this ongoing battle that most of you are probably unaware of because it's in the state Senate about allowing citizens to watch a stream of the business in the Senate, to see how it is your and the other elected state senators are arguing, are debating, are caring about themselves. Missouri is, we're one of 2 states that don't do that. 48 others do. Now, that doesn't by default mean that we should, simply because everyone else does. But there's been some controversy regarding all of that, and it looks like those who don't want it to occur at least have won temporarily. So we'll get the latest on that from Mike Moon. I thought it was just in a time in which increasingly people feel that there's 2 kinds of elected officials, not so much Republican and Democrat, but those that really are one of us, that want us to know exactly, they really want us to know what's going on, and then the others that don't. They want us to elect them and then just leave them alone until it's time to get reelected. Latest traffic, then we'll have weather, and Mike Moon will join us. I'm Nick Reed.
Field's Talk 1041, the first alert forecast from Ozarks First meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by J&S Automotive. Today we'll see sunny skies with a high near 66. Tonight, clear with a low around 47. For your Friday, a slight chance for afternoon showers, otherwise sunny with a high near 77. And for Saturday, sunny skies with a high near 79.
State Senator Mike Moon joins us. First off, congratulations, Locke and Smith Award winner. I saw a pic of you receiving your award, and because Sarah is a female, the first thing she noticed was your shoes.
Was I wearing tennis shoes?
What was it you said?
I said he just got done mowing the lawn.
She goes, look at his shoes. I mean.
And they did have green tips on them too.
They did. You know what that shows? You're a hardworking man.
Well, and I mean it when I had said earlier. There's two types of elected officials, and it's not defined any longer by Republican and Democrat. It's one of us and one of them, and you just can tell. Sometimes it's unspoken. Sometimes it takes not long to recognize it. Those that are just them, the politicians, and then there are people like you, who is one of us. I mean, you just are, and you can also generally identify the ones of us by those that aren't liked so much by the rest of them. And I think that is a category you fall into as well. So I appreciate one, it's good to talk to you as always. I appreciate you being here with us this morning. So tell us about whatever background is necessary, and then what this is all led up to with this desire to allow citizens to observe through video streaming and audio, obviously, the actions of the day in the Senate in Missouri.
Yeah. Unless you've been here and in the gallery or in the observation section on the Senate floor, you may not realize what goes on in the Senate. And of course, you can dial in or tune in and listen to it, but still you don't get the full scope of what's happening on the Senate floor. And you might not get the full view anyway if it were live streamed, but I think, though, it's important to do as much as we can to ensure that those who want to pay attention can have as full access as they possibly can. And so a few years ago, I got the idea that, well, the House is doing it, and there's an old mantra here that we don't want to become like the House. Well, we've already done it as far as our actions are concerned and how we pass bills, amending them so badly and poorly that you just don't know what you're doing and voting on. And so live streaming, we have the audio. Why not do the video? We're one, as you mentioned earlier, one of two states that do not live stream, and North Carolina, my birth state, is the other. Oh. So a couple of years ago, I decided to file a rule change, and I didn't do anything about it the first year. But then, unless you take action on them and actually try to get it done, nothing's going to happen. So this year, I filed it again, and actually after we had a hearing, after pressing those on the committee to do so, at least a couple of weeks went by and there was no vote on the resolution. And this was a resolution to change the rule to allow the live streaming. And so I just rose from my chair one day when the resolution's order of business was called, and I presented the resolution, and that didn't sell very well with some other members. And you may have seen a video recently that was recording, and I got my air quotes up there, recording a standing division. And for those who aren't familiar with that term, it's not a recorded vote in the journal other than to say that a vote was taken, standing division, where members are supposed to go to their chairs, and then when they're called on, if they support, they stand, and then they sit down, and those who oppose stand when they're called. And this vote failed 12-11. And what's ironic is that there were at least 3 senators who weren't there, who I think would support live streaming. 2 actually left the chamber before the vote, and one is caught on video. And, some excuses are made, had to go to the restroom, whatever, yada, yada, yada.
Right.
Well, the fact is, I don't know what's happened. I believe that maybe they were instructed by a leader or two not to participate.
So if I can just get a understanding here of the way that this is being described, is that this was a vote on whether or not to approve the video stream of what's going on, and then right before the vote, a few senators, for a number of different reasons, stepped out, and it was just enough votes to make it not pass. Is that a correct characterization?
Well, the reality is it was just before that vote, Dick. We had a senator come in during my conversation with another senator. The motion was made to lay the resolution on the table. And that's okay. But what it would require is either a new resolution is filed, or it takes 2/3 of the senators to bring it back out.
Got it.
And so this is kind of funny. The conversation that I was having with the other senator was, well, you caught me off guard. Well, yeah, because you waited 2 weeks and still haven't had a vote on the resolution. So this is my other option. And
is this a fair interpretation, though I guess there's no way to necessarily prove it, that there are a number of state senators that talk like they support this, but then when it came down to the vote, left right before the vote occurred, and enough of them left to where it stopped this from moving forward? Is that a fair characterization or interpretation?
Whether or not they support live streaming, and I think they do, because some of them have said that, I believe that they were just saying, okay, we're going to do whatever the leaders want us to do,
right?
Because I have a bill coming up, and if I say no, I'm not going to follow your lead, then they're going to quash my effort to get a bill passed. And whether that actually happened, I have no verified account of it, but it's happened before.
Right.
So it just
not uncommon.
Make an assumption that's what's happening. Yeah, right.
Can we, if it's all right, because I know that you're busy, but we have a traffic update and then about 90 seconds. Can I hold on to you, because I do have a couple of other questions, including this. You mentioned the video that was posted. And I want to talk, and the missing visuals of it. So can we have you for a couple more minutes to talk about that?
You bet.
Okay.
You betcha. I'll wait.
All right. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Mike Moon with us here. More in just moments. Right now, the latest traffic. I'm Nick Reed. Missouri State Senator Mike Moon is with us this morning, and we're talking about this effort that has been underway that he's been instrumental in leading to allow citizens to observe the work in the Senate, as you are able to on the House side. You can log on, you can watch and see how your elected official is voting and arguing, and as the others. But that is not something that is done on the Senate side, and so this came up in some ways for a vote. It's been blocked, and I want, if you will, tell us about. And there's a piece in what is this? The News Tribune about the lieutenant governor and his apparent frustration regarding a video. Now, first off, we're talking about this whole thing as in there's no streaming video allowed. However, apparently there is video that is taken for. Is that for preservation purposes? And when does the videotaping occur?
Well, this is really funny, Nick, because one of the primary opposition arguments is that if video is allowed in the Senate, it's going to promote grandstanding and potential for campaign speeches. Well, we have that because the video that's currently done is done in-house. And so I can, if I make a speech, for example, I can say, hey, I'd like to get a clip of that video. Now, there's a hiccup in that because there's an unwritten rule that says, look, if any other senator is shown in this video, you need to get their permission before you publish it. Well, that's dumb. But nonetheless, that's where that current video comes from. And
Okay.
And you mentioned the News Tribune article. I was not part of that conversation. However, I read the article, and I've talked with an individual who was quoted, the lieutenant governor, and he's frustrated also. He's come out pretty heavily on social media saying, hey, we need to have transparency.
Yeah, and just so people understand, there's a group called Act for Missouri. They're a conservative activist group. That's how labeled here. And they did a sunshine law request to get video of this vote. And the way that it's described here, and this is what the lieutenant governor is very frustrated in trying to find out whose video is this, because the video, when the vote was taken, it was a vote by standing, and right before that part, the video portion goes to black, so you can't see how everyone votes on it. Is that an accurate description?
It's exactly right.
All right. And so, I mean, obviously, this appears as if it was done in order to protect the senators that I'm guessing voted against allowing the stream to occur, because you can't see, and it's not they don't go through and say, oh, Senator Moon, how do you vote? So you can't, through the audio, tell how everyone voted. And it appears as if part of the frustration the lieutenant governor is having here is everybody's playing dumb, because he's trying to find out whose video is this, and nobody's really copying to it in a way that could tie this specific video that is edited to prevent the citizens from seeing how everyone voted. Nobody's wanting to cop to the fact that they're the ones who provided that video through the sunshine request.
Yeah. Well, here, if you look at the angle from which that video was shot, there's only one camera there, and it's there nearly every session, and it's from the in-house media. And so
who controls that?
Well, the Senate.
But is there like a point person on it, or?
Yeah, there in the media department there is a director.
Okay.
And so going back to that redaction of the video is kind of funny. I found it a little bit humorous, oddly humorous, that when we have a recorded vote, if someone were to sunshine that, you really wouldn't have to, because it's part of the journal and you should be able to access it unless they want to hide something there. But if a sunshine request were honored, they wouldn't redact the members' names on the votes. And this is similar, I think. There's nothing that we should be ashamed of. However, somebody wants to hide something. So the redaction, I think, may be a violation of the sunshine law.
Well, that's actually a really good point, because there's information hidden. It would be, I guess, similar to asking through sunshine requests, I want to see how a recorded vote went, like if there's a visual of it, and then blacking out how everyone voted. This defeats the purpose. This doesn't give me what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Interesting.
If we're so ashamed of what we're doing, well, we might want to find another job.
I mean, it's so trashy and so it just is, and it's embarrassing. And this is a sort of thing again. I know every state made up of elected officials, and they're made up of people, and people sometimes do things a little shifty. But once again, I just see the difference between a state like Florida or Tennessee, or where they seem to be doing meaningful things, and meanwhile you have Republican leadership that just pulls crap like this. And I suppose on one hand, because I always play devil's advocate, and I'm thinking, well, you can still get the audio, and if you want to, you can request it. And I'm thinking, yeah, that's true, but so why be against it? I mean, that's the thing. Why be so opposed to allowing the voters to see session as it's occurring?
Yeah, it's still a question I cannot answer. The one, I think, important point to remember here is that the primary opposition to live streaming video in the Senate are senators who aren't returning next year.
Yeah.
And that makes no sense to me, but why they would be so opposed to it.
Other than they don't have to worry about it harming their reelection efforts. I mean, so there's no downside, but yeah, what's the upside? I don't know. It's just, it's so icky and corrupt seeming, and I just. Well, listen, I, as always, appreciate everything that you do, and appreciate being one of us up there. And I say one of us, I mean, I'm not in your district. The people who are very fortunate and lucky, and you're just one of those that you're tried and true, and seemingly far and few between, and you just don't really care what they think. You do what you think's right, and I thank you for that, and I thank you for being with us this morning, State Senator Mike Moon.
Well,
yeah,
I'm glad I'm looked at that way, Nick, and I guess I have to go out and mow a yard.
Yeah, yeah, because there may be rain to come in the next couple days, so put those award recipient shoes on before you do it.
You betcha.
All right, take care.
I have to have a talk with Tom on that photo out there. So
hey, it's who you are. That's what makes you who you are. Mike Moon, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Springfield's Talk 104.1. I'm Nick Reed. All right, there's that Burleson breakfast. Scramblers tomorrow. I got a Burleson sticker on your car. Get free breakfast at Scramblers while we're there, 6 to 9. If you don't have one, his folks will be there to hook you up with one. Christy Fulnecki in the upcoming hour. I'm Nick Reed. Springfield's Talk 1041. Hello, everyone. Good day. Welcome to the show. My name is Nick Reed. Ozarks Elder Law, very, very important. Yeah, the last thing you want to have to be dealing with is, not knowing what people's wishes are, whether that is because you're incapacitated or because you've already passed. And, maybe you aren't thinking for yourself so much. You're like, oh, I got a long ways to go. Maybe you have a parent or a grandparent. You're like, I don't know if they've even thought about this or known. Or maybe they did it, but it was, 20 years ago when Papaw was still alive as well, and they lived in another state. Well, you move to a different state. Different states have different laws. And point being is you need to keep updated on this stuff, particularly if there's any financial changes or life changes or marriage changes, and that way everything is covered. People oftentimes fear the cost. Oh, they're going to bill me this much per hour just to find out. Ozarks Elder Law, they cover the cost, and that way you can get it done, find out what you need to do, or get the analysis done to find out what you need to do, and then learn this is what it'll cost to have everything taken care of legally. Ozarks Elder Law, 10 area locations. You can also find them under Nick's endorsements at KSGF.com. And Kiki the Comanche, Chrissy Fonecki
good morning.
is here. How do you...
Starting off,
Can't
this
take you
is
too
really
anywhere.
strong.
Yes. Save this for an award entry. We cannot even get nominated again.
Maybe this is what they're looking for.
Yeah, maybe. You
right.
keep
Oh my gosh,
you keep submitting stuff that's
You know,
meaningful, and they're like, you know
Right.
what?
these are the most popular shows when we talk about nothing.
I know. Well, that's what.
No, totally.
Actually, so here's what happened. A few years ago, we got these best. I don't even remember.
Like opinion commentary, like 2 years in a
There
row.
was a state one.
promotions.
There was one that was, remember, I
won Station of the Year.
Yeah, because I didn't know I was going to have to give a speech.
I didn't either. I know, and then you tried to make me do it. I'm like, no.
I don't even remember that.
This was a few years ago. And it was, you don't give speech, they have all these different awards for best this, best that. Well, then best station or more, whatever we won. Well, because that's bigger, they're like, oh, well, you have to give a speech, which I didn't know until we got up there.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, then we don't even, after that, we don't even get, I guess you kind of, you submit to be a nominee. We don't even get nominated. I don't know. They're just whatever.
They're done with us.
They're done. They're like, you know what?
Here's your
Didn't like that speech. You won't be doing it again.
glass award. Now get out.
Yeah. I remember Ashley Reynolds won at least one thing that year also.
Oh, that's good. I always liked Ashley. She
Yeah,
was
me
nice.
too. And I remember because I don't think I'd actually met her at that point. And I was like, oh, I'd like to meet her. I met her subsequent to that, but didn't at that time. And so for fun, because Sarah's the one that submits all that stuff. You got to put it together, and it's such a hassle. And I've never messed with it. And Sarah was like, no, I'm gonna do. I was like, awesome. And so we won. And then but what now you need to do is just pick the crappiest,
Maybe I'll
most
submit
worthless.
this
Yeah, you could submit
audio.
this. Yeah.
Like, okay, get the hint. Jeez.
Yep. So once again, I'm not going to be doing a 3-day weekend at Margaritaville at Lake of the Ozarks because we didn't get a nomination.
Oh my god.
Trying my best. I'm working with what I got here.
Well, this is part of the
So
problem.
much.
Well, I think if I remember right, the best commentary that we won, 2 of the awards we won that quote I won. It wasn't even one of them was D. Wampler. I had him on. I think it was after
really,
Ann
really good.
passed, and he was talking about, just dealing with that and depression
Yeah.
and all that. I mean, it was really good. But was there one
remember
with
that
Yakov
one.
Smirnoff?
Yes.
Yeah, because it was after the whole thing with Ukraine started, and so he. I don't even know if that's why we had him in or he was here, but anyhow, he came on and it was really it was just a great conversation. So like 2 of the opinion commentary or whatever awards that we got for the state, it wasn't even driven by me anyway. I was just the guy like, so win an award for us if you would. And then they started talking.
Just keep talking.
Yeah, anyway.
Yeah. So I went to New Orleans.
Yes, how
Yes.
was you go?
Well,
and
you know-
Eric, every year you go down to this massive music festival.
Jazz Fest.
Jazz
Yeah.
Fest, which isn't isolated to jazz.
It's everything.
It's everything. You should call it everything.
And it's 2 weekends. I think over the 2 weeks, there's something like it's 400,000 or 500,000 people that go to it. So they have 40 to 60,000 people a day. But so we've seen a number of people there. And the first weekend, we didn't go the first weekend, just the second weekend. But Stevie Nicks played and Rod Stewart, and so it's all different kinds of music. We've Pitbull's played there, Chris Stapleton, Dave Matthews, all kinds of people. So that's what we were talking about when I came in. That it was pouring down rain. We stood in the rain to watch Lainey Wilson, which I didn't even. I knew a couple of.
Is she
songs.
the one that was on Yellowstone?
Was she on Yellowstone? I don't know.
There's some country artist that was on Yellowstone.
Really?
I'll have to look it
Okay,
up.
well, so I'm sure somebody will take
Season
it.
5.
Really, she's really talented. She's a great performer.
Yeah, I think she
it was
performed
like
on the show also.
Pouring down, like it was pouring, but we all stood out there. I mean, there were thousands of people, and the Eagles played. But I mean, the day it was beautiful weather. Actually, it was like in the 70s. So usually it's hot and
Yeah,
you
I
know,
know. Well,
humid and stuff.
You guys, in fact, we were at dinner, I think, for your birthday, and I sat at the guys' end of the table, and Eric's like, if there was just one thing I wish you guys would do with us, you have no idea how bad I want you guys to go to New Orleans for Jazz Fest. And I'm thinking, yeah, but every time you come back, Chrissy's talking about how hot it was and how miserable, and we had to walk, and then her heel broke, and she had a limp, and it makes it sound like the worst experience ever.
No, that was just 1 year. No, but I mean, I've learned to wear
rain.
After you go to these music festivals, you learn what to wear because you have to have it's on at a racetrack. So you have to wear boots because it can get muddy and your raincoat because it usually rains. But Saturday, I mean, it was just beautiful weather. And so they were sold out and there were 60,000 people. And normally, you're not walking like shoulder to shoulder with people, but it was very crowded. But I don't know, it was a combination with the weather and the Eagles were playing and there were so many people. I mean, there's probably all of those 50,000 people going to watch the Eagles. So it was pretty cool. And they have different stages of all different music. So I saw Earth, Wind, and Fire again. I'm telling you, those guys still have a great voice, the lead singer, and they're still dancing stuff. I mean, they must be in their 80s. I don't know. But I mean, when they sang the September song and all those songs, and very diverse crowd. I mean, it's really fun. And the amazing thing is, okay, so I didn't really see the National Guard down there until kind of before we left. But the amazing thing at this festival, because it closes at 7, so people can go, eat in the French Quarter or whatever. But I've never seen any violence. I've never seen any fights. It's amazing. Like it's
cool.
Yeah. And so, and then we go to a lot of the artists that play during the day. They play in the local theaters and stuff at night. So we saw this Marcus King and all these other blues people. So
that's cool.
Yeah,
well, I'm glad it was fun.
Yes, it was very fun.
It's always good to hear.
Yeah, and I think it's getting safer there. Yeah,
well,
and they have the National Guard standing on the street.
Christy Folnecki with us. More coming up in a couple of moments. Also, a look at the weather right now. The latest news update.
And the first alert forecast from Ozarks First, meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by St. Clair of the Ozarks Home Improvements. Today we'll see sunny skies with a high near 66. Tonight, clear with a low around 47. For your Friday, a slight chance for afternoon showers, otherwise sunny with a high near 77. And for Saturday, sunny with a high near 79.
Pyramid Roofing Company text line for a message for you, actually a question for you.
Yes,
Christy
okay.
Polnecki. Say, hey, Nick, ask Christy about her son's tennis match yesterday and about the outcome.
Oh, yes. So Nixa, he's on the varsity team for Nixa tennis, and he played for 2 hours because they're, in the conference championship tonight, and they're moving. It's like what you do to go to state for tennis. And so they're playing for the championship tonight, but they were playing Ozark. So Ozark is a big rival of Nixa. So my son had the last match. So whoever won the last tennis match would win between Nixa and Ozark. And it came down to my son's match, which I could hardly breathe watching him. I was so stressed out, but he ended up winning. And so he's a junior. He played as senior.
Well, that's awesome.
I know. And so he won. And then when he won, the whole team won. So Nixa beat Ozark. Yay. Sorry about all you Ozark people, but yeah. So I was
you should be so lucky as to have had the Polnecki clan in your district.
Yeah, that's right. With many years of tennis, actually.
Yeah, I'm sure the Ozark School District's like, yeah, that trade-off really would have been worth it. We'll be okay, thanks.
So that was very exciting.
Well, that's cool. It must be rewarding to have not so many kids that aren't a total train wreck. I mean, they're all like successful in their own ways and have their interest and everything. And I mean, because some people have fewer kids and none of them are like that. And so I don't know if it's the water or...
water. Well, I mean, the biggest thing is you can tell your kids to do something, but if you don't do it yourself, then it's not.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
Like, practice what you preach when you're a parent. And I see people tell their kids that. I'm like, okay, well, then you need to get off the couch if you're gonna tell your kids to go do something.
So how are you? So how are you at tennis?
Pretty good, actually. Yeah. I played I played different sports, volleyball, and. But the big thing, I think we talked about this like last time I was on, but what you can instill in your kids is discipline. And so, I mean, they would complain, and we always had them do a sport and an instrument. I talked about that. And then obviously grades, you had to, like, when they were young, we would give them money for grades. And then we eventually didn't have to do that because the younger ones followed the older ones. But like, even when they're in elementary, we focused on grades, because then now, high school and college, you make all the kids make all A's. So we made that a priority where they're young. But the instrument and the sports, because of what you get, playing on a team and working well with others, and then the discipline of an instrument. I mean, they would complain all the time about violin and piano and stuff, but it's just, you have to do things in life that you don't want to do. And so if you could teach your kids that at an early age, it's really good.
It's interesting to talk about paying them for the good grades. And I think on one hand, the instinct for a lot of people is, well, you shouldn't do that. They should get good grades just because it's good for them. But I don't know that it seems like it's a good idea because it directly demonstrates to them a positive result other than just the grade itself, because kids don't comprehend that as much. They don't. I mean, they know what you tell them.
That's a good point.
I mean, they know what you tell them. Oh, well, you have to get good grades. But you remember when you're a kid, like, some kids are driven, some aren't. But to actually associate it with some sort of financial success, that's an interesting.
Yeah, we since they were in.
I mean, clearly something worked.
Yeah. Since they're in kindergarten, we gave them money for grades for a long time. And they can't miss school ever. Like, they have to be dying. I mean, the school will call and be like, well, one of them threw up. Well, are you sure? Like, what's the time period? Like, they're like, they feel really bad. Well, I mean...
Yeah, it happens. So what? Let's see. Do you have a nurse at your school? Yes. Well, we don't have one at the house. So clearly my child's better there.
It's a doctor, but...
Well, yeah, but if he's working,
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, but then, like, if you can instill in your kids the importance of that, then you don't have to... Because, like you said, to try to conceptualize, you have to have good grades to... Right. If you want to go to college or whatever.
Yeah.
They're like, whatever. They don't understand that. But if you can make it an immediate thing,
Right, where they're seeing but not the theoretical benefit when you're an adult, but the actual real-time benefit of working hard, earning something.
Yeah, and
no, I
this is
like that.
this is translated to college because I don't have to worry about them in college because all of them have been very disciplined and made good grades in college. Like this is a good example. My daughter, one of my daughters, she was in her roommate. She was in this class, and I can't remember. It was some political science class, and they had this huge research paper. And her roommate is also wanting to go to law school, so her roommate didn't even go to class for a long time. So the research paper was like half the grade. And she's like, well, I don't know if I should say anything. I said, you know what? That's her responsibility. So she missed the whole entire paper because she didn't even go to class for, I don't know, a month or something. And and my daughter ended up getting like 100% on it. But I'm like, that's kind of stuff when your kids leave, you can't control what they're doing every day. And so that's why it's important to do that.
Yeah, we never, with the girl child, I don't think we even talked about or thought about financial incentives for grade. We've been lucky because she does very well. But when it came to ACT or SAT, which one do they take? I don't even remember.
Well, you can take both of them, but in school sometimes here they take ACT.
Yeah, the ACT. That one I did most recently. I was like, I tell you what, if you do this, then I'll give you this money. If you this, and she was like, well, I want a new, I think she said Xbox. I'm like, okay, what I just told you could buy that and then have some left over. So you didn't score well on this test just now that I gave you. And what's funny is I don't even remember what I told her. I just remember this conversation because my wife, Morgan, she's like, are you sure? And I was like, do you know how much money it'll save us long term if she gets these scores? This is a long game. But I don't remember how much I told her for what. So I'm going to rely on her to be honest. I didn't write it down.
Money or like toys or whatever it is, I think it's a good motivator. Because eventually, like, you'll think the kids will get money for doing whatever, but then they have the self-confidence, like,
right. And they earned it. It's something they earned.
Yeah, I mean, they complain about going to tennis practice or whatever, but I'm telling you, after he won that match and won it for his team, I mean, it's great confidence,
It is.
It's great for your kids. So
winning is fun.
Winning is fun. Not everyone gets a trophy, but when you earn it, it's really a great thing.
That reality highlights the absurdity of the concept of not keeping score because, well, we just want all the kids to have fun. I'm like, but the fun part is the winning. That, like, you know how fun that is to win?
All liberals should play sports, really. And you can tell, like, their influence on sports because they're trying to get an advantage by being another sex. So...
yeah, what?
What?
No, finish your thought.
I don't know what it was.
Yeah, I wasn't really listening. Did you see?
No, I'm talking about sports and liberals.
Yeah.
I mean, they're messing up sports. But if you put a liberal in sports, I don't know if you can do that when you're in a uniform costume. Unicorn.
What are those inflatables?
The frog inflatable costume. I don't think you can do that when you're playing soccer.
Interesting.
That'd be funny. Have a soccer match with all these crazy liberals.
I think they should do the UFC fights, have some liberals in that.
Oh my gosh.
Or have a liberal versus a conservative. Because there's the Republican Democrat softball or baseball.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Republicans always win.
Yeah,
Republicans always win, which I'm sorry, that's not a coincidence. There's a reason these things happen. Can you imagine if they started doing UFC fights that way? I go, okay, Republicans versus Democrats.
Be great. Well, they have one of the guys on that's going to do the fighting for this summer at the White House.
Yeah.
And I guess it's going to be at the White House. The UFC fight?
It is, yes. It's going to be, the way I understand it, we were just talking about this, because Dana White was talking about it, saying the only thing that'll prevent it from happening is lightning. So that's it. Wow. And he talked about how he never, ever, other than once, like in the UAB or somewhere, plans outdoor events because of weather. It's just, you can't control it. But he said he's making an exception for this. And the setup is going to be on, I guess, like the White House lawn. And then there's going to be enough seating, several thousand, that he said the president wants that to be mostly military. guests.
Oh,
And
wow.
then they're going to somehow open it up so the ellipse can be filled with, what was it, like 65,000 people?
It was something like
So
that.
65, that they're 65 or 85,000 people, and you had to have a ticket, but they were going to give them away. And so this thing it's going to happen.
Well, isn't that a different visual from Republicans to Democrats? You have all the trans, like, crazy people out in the White House when Biden was out there and him stumbling around chasing the Easter Bunny. And then you have, like, the UFC fighters with Trump.
Mm-hmm. Yep. There are two different Americas.
Oh, my gosh.
On full display at times. Christy Fulnecki is with us. Well, and, the presidential fitness test is back.
No.
Did you see Trump, what that 12-year-old, he asked that 12-year-old, you think you can take me in a fight? We've got more coming up. Traffic update as well. I'm Nick Reed.
Springfield's Talk 1041, the first alert forecast from Ozarks First meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by J&S Automotive. Today we'll see sunny skies with a high near 66. Tonight clear with a low around 47. For your Friday, a slight chance for afternoon showers, otherwise sunny with a high near 77. And for Saturday, sunny with a high near 79. And the Pyramid Roofing Company, Josh wanted me to warn you that the insurance companies have started raising deductibles on their policies. Now, the Pyramid team, they offer financing for the deductible. If you have damage, make sure to file your claim sooner rather than later. The Pyramid team, they offer emergency tarping services, free roof inspections for you, and also they work with you through that insurance process every step of the way. They are also there during the adjuster meeting if you want them there. In fact, that's something that they prioritize is those meetings. And I know for some of you that will give you just, some peace of mind. If it is time to have the Pyramid team out to your home, reach out to Josh and schedule that free roof inspection. You can find all of the contact information for the Pyramid Roofing Company under the Sarah's Endorsements tab at ksgf.com.
Christy Fulnecki
Yes.
with us here.
Good job, Sarah.
Thank you.
Excellent job.
Appreciate that. Yes. Yes.
So I had to ask Sarah a question. I want to know her opinion on the Met Gala.
What a bunch of weirdos.
Why don't
Crazy.
you want my opinion on it?
Well, I don't know.
Okay.
She's a woman. I just thought I want to ask her.
Just a
So
bunch of weirdos.
sometimes you're a woman, but I'm just no. I don't understand the Kardashians at all. I don't. You can talk.
Did
to
we
me,
jump to something?
No, it's like I
part
was
of the
just
Met
wondering.
Gala conversation.
Yeah, no, it's part of the conversation.
Okay.
Kardashians, but I did see that one gal, and I don't know who she is.
Oh, you
that
didn't
had
see
the dollar over her face.
That's that lesbian actress.
I mean,
Well, that
really,
helps.
like because she was talking about the 1%.
She's worth She's worth like 12 million or something. 'Cause I saw an article about it
She's an elitist,
Right.
at the Met Gala.
Oh, yeah, I saw one guy that was wearing the black dress. Did you see him?
Yeah.
Ugh.
Oh, that's Sam Smith.
Oh.
Yeah. Who dressed as a devil?
Yes,
one
I
time during-
remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, I can't believe you didn't see the Kardashians. It was
Well, I'll have to look 'em up.
disgusting. Yeah. Because they wore. Did you see it?
No.
It was like I mean, that's so funny. I see it everywhere. It must be the things you follow, but I mean, it looked like I don't even know how to describe it, but it had some things in the front that were. I don't even know how to describe on the radio, but and then one of the sisters had like her dress pulled down, and then like this kind of form-fitting thing on that. It was really weird.
Who would have thought that? What was it? It was Caitlyn? Is that who Bruce became? Caitlyn?
Yeah.
Bruce Jenner?
Yeah.
Who would have thought that
Caitlyn, yeah.
Caitlyn would be the normal one out of all of them?
And then people wore. I mean, and then I saw some other ones last night. That one was bees were swarming this person when they're walking through the thing, and I mean, somebody was in a bubble, and I mean, these people are so wacko.
They are.
I know.
They are wacko. And then these are the same people that are like, Republicans are weird.
I know that's right. I was like, what?
There was some chick who I don't know who she was, but I saw a reel. She was just a normal person, and it was she made a little video reel about the Met Gala, and she pretended like she was arriving, and she just had when you get a suit or dry cleaning or dress, they put that outer thing on it that
Yeah.
and she was wearing one of those and had a hanger over her head.
Yeah. I saw
And she was walking around all fancy. I thought that's about right.
I know. I saw some of the spoofs of people trying to dress up, and they would take mannequin parts and like stick it on themselves, and it was hilarious. I mean, some of it was just so ridiculous. I can't even believe it. And the mother. I mean, I don't understand the hype about the Kardashians. I mean, some of my daughters kind of follow them, but
I will say this about some of them. Now, of course, they rose to fame because of Kim and the sex tape, and so no one even knew. But I think that there are some families that would have just sort of rode that out as long as they could. They all have been very proactively with a business mind
That's true. They
did
have.
not let that go to waste.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all, and I know that they are really well known because of reality TV and so forth, but they do all
But they
have
do
their
have businesses. Yeah.
businesses. So they don't just sit around and like, oh, I'm going to ride this reality TV. There, how can I capitalize off this? This isn't going to last forever, though it seems like it has. What can I do with this? And so they all seem driven. And she's worked to get her law license. I mean, she certainly doesn't have to.
Yeah.
She's got
Right.
plenty of
Right.
money. How many people with her money would be like, oh, I want to be an attorney? You know what I mean? And so I think there's something to be said about that.
Yeah, and it's interesting, this whole gal. I mean, it just receives so much media, and if you're not an invitee, like if you're not invited, you have to pay $100,000 to go just to attend this. So they were talking about some of the people that had to pay it in order to go.
Well, one of the things that I did actually talk about this, I want to say it was
you did?
Monday,
Okay.
because a number of artists, or I guess attendees or would-be attendees that normally didn't go, weren't going, and it was not specifically stated, but suggested it was because Jeff Bezos was on the board that year, and he had donated $10 million, and so
There were the chairs or something.
yeah,
right?
they were co-chairs, and some of these celebrities were protesting, oh, it sullies this up because they bought their way in. I mean, these are celebrities, for Pete's sake. Come on. But so one of his, I guess, companies has software that is used by ICE. And
oh my gosh.
And there was a posting made by one, like, you can't go to a Jeff Bezos event while claiming that you are against kids being kidnapped from, and so they were, a lot of them pitching a fit in this anti-ICE world about him being associated with it. But then I find this other article, and it was more of just, I guess, a human interest component to it, talking about, among other things, to what lengths people will go to sneak in because security's so high. And when you get inside,
really?
and when you get inside, cameras aren't allowed. And so, and there was a story about one person that pretended to be a chef to get in through the kitchen, and all the lengths that they go to. And I just thought, once again, it's the hypocrisy of these people that demand the absolute tightest security. They have these areas completely bordered off with high-profile security, yet, they pitch a fit about average Americans that want the border secured.
Yep.
I mean, they're just so dishonest.
Security.
Well, of course they do.
These, gates and the walls around their house with people with guns.
But those of us who can't afford it are supposed to deal with the repercussions of an open border in the name of compassion.
Yeah. Said, I don't know if they still live there, but we went by where Ivanka had her house in D.C., and then it's like Chelsea, I can't remember the neighborhood, but it's over by Georgetown, and then Obama, and we drove by Obama's. You couldn't get that far up, but I mean, they have a whole wall around their house.
Yeah. But walls don't work.
I know. Yeah.
Unless you're a Democrat or you're a really rich liberal, then
right.
they work really, really well. They must, because they use them all the time. Christy Fulnecki here, the Pyramid Roofing Company, text line 447 KSGF. I'm Nick Reed. Emily Johnson, House Theory Realty, of course. I know there's some things you aren't so concerned about having the best. You go out for a burger and, here, well, they don't have the best, but it'll be quick. But when it comes to buying a home or selling a home, these are big transactions. And oftentimes it's more than just a transaction. You're talking about an emotional situation. One of the bits of feedback that I've shared in the past was regarding somebody that was, trying to sell a home that their mother had lived in her whole life, and it got to the point where she couldn't live on her own, and just it was a very difficult and emotional thing for the mother to do, and for the kids, and they just really noted that with Emily Johnson, it wasn't so much about the best price or the easiest process, but how a otherwise very emotional and difficult situation for the family. They were navigated through it with a level of care and compassion that they just really hadn't anticipated. And that was the big cheering point they had for Emily Johnson. Now, of course, she is great when it comes to negotiating, and you do want her on your side, whether you're looking to buy or sell. But the parts of it that are real meaningful and impacting that aren't necessarily a dollar amount, she's got you taken care of there as well. Emily Johnson, House Theory Realty. We got Christy Fulnecki here with us.
Yes, good morning.
Yes, and good morning to you.
Yes. Talking about important topics.
Yes, very. So did you see that Jeffrey Epstein's suicide note was evidently released?
Yeah. I was trying to read it. Did you? I was trying to read the.
Yeah. So now the way this plays out is his cellmate was afraid that Jeffrey Epstein was going to blame him for hurting him or killing him. And he said that he found this suicide note in a graphic novel of Jeffrey Epstein's, folded up and hidden away in there. And he kept it and then turned it over to his attorney as proof that he wasn't the one that did anything. Now, I know, does that track? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, I didn't do anything. Here's the proof. I found his suicide note.
Was this recent? They found it? That's what I was just wondering.
It's been under, quote, lock and key.
Oh, okay.
A judge just, and I don't know if we knew this. I don't, it's just like last week all of a sudden they're like, by the way, there's a suicide note and a judge may release it. And I'm like, did I know there was a suicide note? There's just so much, there's so much information that comes out at times, and then that turns out not to be true.
But they released all the files supposedly. That's what I thought. Well, was this in there? Nobody noticed?
No, this was a court, like a court.
Oh, okay. So it was under seal.
Yes, it was under seal.
Okay.
It was under seal. So a federal judge released it just in the last couple of days. And so the note read, they investigated me for months, found nothing. It is a treat to be able to choose one's time to say goodbye. What you want me to do? Bust out crying? No fun. Not worth it. So, I mean, that doesn't sound like a traditional suicide note. Not that I'm an expert in it, but usually it's like,
to me, it doesn't prove anything.
Well, no. I mean,
people think he's still alive, that they're seeing him, that they're spotting him. I don't know. Maybe it's just the things I watch.
Where are they seeing him? Like
somewhere in Florida.
It's at Chuck E. Cheese. I don't know why I chose Chuck E. Cheese.
The picture of him, like that somebody spotted him
at Gracie's mansion.
People think he's still alive, and they saw like his orange like suit that he was leaving. I don't know. Like you would say, either he's alive or Hillary killed him.
Well, yeah, okay. Personally.
What?
Personally killed him or had him killed?
Oh, had him killed. I don't think she does the killings herself.
Well, there was that one audio, remember that? Let's see if I can find it. Remember where somebody AI'd her?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
That's right.
Where is that?
The guy you're talking about is Palm Beach Pete.
Yes. That's right.
Yes, he's went viral.
Oh, I couldn't think of who that was.
I mean, how...
I think he's still alive. Probably. I'll say Michael Jackson.
Like, how dumb would that be if you did escape and you're like, well, I'm just going to go back down to Florida and walk around in public. Hope nobody notices. given that my case is one of the most conspiracy theory cases there is out there. Let's see, Hillary. I can't. Maybe during the break, I'll see if I can. Oh, wait. Here, no, I think I found it. Let's see. So there was one with Hillary, and then one with Bill. I don't remember where I came across this, but it was, I thought, really fun. So the Hillary part was an AI video put out after she did the testimony, the congressional testimony, and so. Yeah, for Epstein. And so then this was released like, oh, hey, just released. This is the video of some of her testimony.
Mrs. Clinton, we don't want to be here all day either. So just tell us how you killed Mr. Epstein and we can all go home, okay? I mean, everyone knows you killed him. Just tell us how you did it.
Okay, look, I knew the guards were asleep. So I took the keys, I turned off the cameras, I went into Jeffrey Epstein's cell, and I saw him sleeping. So I just grabbed one of his shirts and I choked him with it. He kind of woke up, but I actually think he enjoyed it because he was smiling as I was choking him, which was kind of strange. But anyway, I made it look like a suicide and I got back home just in time for dinner.
So then this other bit of audio was AI, obviously, and it was Bill Clinton being interviewed by some news gal.
Democrats thought they could finally get Trump with the Epstein files. But instead, all they got was pictures of you, buck naked in the jacuzzi with some girls. Aren't you afraid of being arrested?
Well, to be honest, I'm more afraid of that crazy bitch waiting for me back home. I'm not going back. That bitch kills people. She even killed Jeffrey. F that. Are you single? Can I stay at your place?
Okay, let's just slow down a bit.
Yeah, I don't think she.
Funny because it's true.
I know. Well, I don't know. Maybe she did kill Vince Foster by herself.
Well, an interesting side note to that is when the FBI was investigating all of that, they wrote up in their reports that there were a number of people that they interviewed that worked in the White House in Hillary Clinton's office that said, they're like, she killed him, but not like he killed himself, but because of her. She was such a tyrant and would target him in particular. And there was one of the interviews that the FBI did, and this, all of this eventually got released. And it was one staffer that was like, it was either the day he killed himself or the day before he killed himself. And how they were in some meeting and it wasn't your normal, just berated and humiliated him. And the person said you could literally see him break inside. And then he just left, and that's when he went and killed himself. And there was more than one person that was like, he pulled the trigger, but she was such a horrible human being to him that's why he did it.
Wow.
Because they said he was a sweet-natured guy, and he really did like her, and just I thought, man, it's almost like, are you worse? Are you a worse person if you kill someone, or if you are so horrible to someone they kill themselves?
Yeah. I don't know if you can prove that you didn't.
No.
Yeah.
But no one, and the funny thing is, everyone knows that she is a horrible person.
Yeah, that's true.
And that comes from people who worked with her.
Yeah.
Even some people who still say they admire her, they admit that she was just the most horrible human being. But I don't know what it is with liberal women. I mean, Katie Porter right now is dealing with this California.
That's so true.
How many Democrat elected officials that are women have we heard of? Jasmine Crockett dealt with this. Was it Carol Moseley Braun? There was some other congresswoman, I forget from where, and the stories are all the same. They're just horrible. They treat, Kamala Harris. She's another one.
Right.
It's like, for whatever
they're terrible
reason,
to their staff.
Yeah, in the party of humanity and compassion, for whatever reason, it seems as if you cannot be a woman and a Democrat and be a decent human being. They just
woman
bitter
that's
and
running
awful.
for governor in California.
Katie Porter, that's the one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Potatoes on her husband.
Oh yeah, and has berated. And so what's funny about that is one of the moments that got a lot of attention was a Zoom call leaked out in which she just berated some staffer because they got in her picture. Her latest campaign ad plays jokes about it. So she's talking about, she's an average mom who, goes grocery store. And then so behind her in the final 5 seconds of the ad are a bunch of people that are supporters of her. And she's like, oh, and get out of my frame. And they all laugh. And I'm like, so not only are we now accepting that if you're a Democrat, you can treat people like total trash, but then you're going to mock them.
Yeah.
Mock your victims. Yeah.
Yeah. For bullies. So they're standing up for bullies.
Yeah, because then this is the world we live in with the left. So somebody like Katie Porter, Democrats will celebrate and hold up, or Hillary Clinton or any of the other these women who treat people horribly. But then somebody like Melania Trump, who has never said a cross word towards anyone publicly, they rip and ream on her like she's a horrible person. We got to take a quick break. More with Christy Fulnecki. Hank texting in on the Pyramid Roofing Company text line. Having read the book Blowback, I don't believe he wrote the note. I think that was an author of the week we did, and I would agree completely. Now, I thought it'd be funny if the so-called Epstein note was released, and it was like, saying, I'm really sorry, I want to apologize to everyone disappointed, and I just want everyone to know Hillary Clinton had nothing to do with my death. Hillary Clinton, who should have beat Donald Trump in 2016, did not kill me.
Oh, I mean, it's so crazy. They release all these things. I mean, supposedly all of this is released, and we still don't know exactly what happened.
Well, and the problem is
so frustrating to me.
The problem is with the amount of distrust that the government has created. It does it even if all of the truth is revealed. You're like, okay, so you say. I mean, I don't know how you can prove it, because the only way you can really prove anything is, okay, documents, right? Those documents came from you. And so they can complain, well, that's not fair because by your standards, we can't ever prove to you what actually happened. I'm like, well, maybe that's unfair, but you created that world.
I know.
You know what I mean? You created it.
Release everything and not really give an explanation of the whole story. That's a frustrating thing to me, because it's like you're bits and pieces of the most horrific things you've ever seen and read, and just disgusting.
And then on the other side, because the government has created such distrust, any random person can make the most wild allegation, and then some people will be like, they'll just throw it into the pile and be like, well, that's got to be true too. It's like, well, no, that's not necessarily the case.
Well, it fills a vacuum
lots of people lie.
Yeah,
it does fill a vacuum.
Yeah, and I mean, who has time to get on the DOJ website and go through 1 million or whatever it was documents?
Yeah.
So then you're just relying on other people to. Yeah, and you're like, is this true? I don't know.
All right. Well, hey, I'm glad that you all had a great time in New Orleans Jazz Fest. Maybe we'll go next year.
Yes. Hey, you guys can broadcast down there. I know you guys can broadcast down there.
maybe, I guess.
You could.
I think we talked.
You could interview all of the musicians.
I'm sure they'll line up
They will.
to be on a show with Nick Reed from Springfield, Missouri.
They're like, Missouri, where's that?
All right. Well, we've got Author of the Week coming up in the
that's
next hour.
exciting.
Yes. Sponsored by ABC
Yes.
Books on North Glenstone. It's actually very timely. Southern Poverty Law Center recently indictment coming down. And so it's an opportunity for you to get some real background on what a
that'll
horrific and corrupt organization that is. Springfield's Talk 1041. Good day. Hello. Welcome. Hour 3. My name is Nick Reed. We will tomorrow be broadcasting live. Scramblers, it's the Friday Road Show on the road. It's always the same piece of the road every Friday. Scramblers there. It is a Burleson breakfast. About once a month, the Burleson folks buy breakfast for you Burleson folks. And that is, if you got a Burleson bumper sticker on your vehicle, then they're going to buy you breakfast. If you don't have one, fear not, they'll have those. You want a T-shirt, Burleson T-shirt, they'll get you hooked up with that as well. And so it's just kind of a fun thing they like to do while we broadcast out there every so often. And tomorrow happens to be one of those days. And there you have it. So, chance to hang out with some cool people. Have some free breakfast if you'd like to. Pyramid Roofing Company, text line 447-KSGF. If you have the app, it's really easy to text us. You don't have to memorize the number or keep it saved as a contact. There's a button that you just hit to text studio, and then we see it here in the studio. So just another added benefit aside from having the podcast at your fingers, streaming at your fingers, as well as just other informational stuff that you can find there on the KSGF app, which of course is also at ksgf.com. Author of the Week, sponsored by ABC Books on North Glenstone, coming up in just a couple of moments. Right now, the latest news update.
And the first alert forecast from Ozarks First meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by St. Clair of the Ozarks Home Improvements. Today we'll see sunny skies with a high near 66. Tonight clear with a low around 47. For your Friday, a slight chance for afternoon showers, otherwise sunny with a high near 77. And for Saturday, sunny with a high near 79.
Read Thursday means Author of the Week. Time sponsored by ABC Books on North Glenstone. And our author today, Tyler O'Neill, managing editor at the Daily Signal, and has written for numerous publications: the Washington Times, Newsweek, Christian Post, National Review, Free Beacon, and Hillsdale Collegian. And his book is Making Hate Pay: The Corruption of the Southern Poverty Law Center. And while this book isn't brand new, as oftentimes our authors are on to highlight, it's so relevant. And man, I cannot tell you how much I appreciate you writing the book. And it's unfortunate it took a couple years for the world to kind of wake up and know what it was that you wrote about. If you would just start off telling us what prompted you to really bring to light what had been going on with the Southern Poverty Law Center.
Yeah. What didn't prompt me is probably a bigger question. The Southern Poverty Law Center is the tip of the spear when it comes to the left's cancel culture. It really, it has this 1-2 punch. It's a nefarious strategy where, in order to exist, in order to raise money, the SPLC says, we are the number one force against hate in America, and you need to give us money. But the thing is, America actually isn't that hateful of a country. So the SPLC has to find ways to claim that America is more hateful than it is. And that is really the nub of what this indictment claims. The indictment that was filed, last month says that the SPLC spent money to prop up white supremacist groups like the Ku Klux Klan in order to have somebody to raise money to combat against. And so, this really confirms some of the suspicions that I had in the book. And I have a point in the book where I wasn't able to fully confirm it, but I did say, I had this source that said, look, it seems like the SPLC might be planting racists at public events in order to show off the idea that America is worse than it is. And, to see that suggestion be the centerpiece of a federal indictment is really, really quite vindicating for my work. But the other aspect, it's a 1-2 punch. It isn't just that they exaggerate hate in order to raise money. It's also that they weaponize their history in going after the Klan to demonize conservatives. So they have this hate map, which used to be they used to have this program called Klan Watch. Then it became Hate Watch. Now they have a hate map that has chapters of the Ku Klux Klan on it, but it also has mainstream conservative and Christian groups. So we're not talking Aryan nations. We're not talking the Klan. I mean, those groups are on there. But alongside those groups is Moms for Liberty, is Defending Education, is the Family Research Council, is now even Focus on the Family and Turning Point USA. And that's particularly horrible because many on the left consider this map to be the gold standard when it comes to fighting hate. So you get this weapon where so many people immediately think that if you're on the hate map, you must be evil. And we actually had a guy look at the hate map and target the Family Research Council for a terrorist attack in 2012, a terrorist attack that hasn't gotten enough attention, if you ask me. He said he specifically used the SPLC hate map to target the Family Research Council. And, the SPLC condemned the attack, but they've kept the Family Research Council on the map ever since. There are at least 2 other violent incidents that seem connected to the SPLC. We don't have full proof on these ones yet. One of them is the assassination of Charlie Kirk, which happened only 4 months after the SPLC put Turning Point USA on the hate map. So, what we see here, the SPLC has this defamation strategy. It's routine, it's ritualistic, and the SPLC uses it to demonize anyone who disagrees with their agenda, particularly on LGBTQ issues and on immigration and on warning against the threat of radical Islam. And so I consider myself to be somewhat of a mainstream, almost, moderate conservative. I'm very ideological. I'm a conservative Christian, but I tend to look askance at people who are overly obnoxious on some of these claims. But if you look at how broad the SPLC is with its smears, it is beyond the pale. I mean, you don't get a more mainstream conservative Christian group than Focus on the Family. And now they're on a map with Klan chapters.
Well, and I know even locally here, we've had the Springfield news leader use Southern Poverty Law Center as a credible source in labeling local organizations. I think it may have been one of them, may have been Moms for Liberty when it came to some school board race issues or other school-related issues here. And it seems to be this cyclical, sort of self-serving validation where the Southern Poverty Law Center gets validated as a legitimate source because you get a newspaper like the News Leader that uses them as a source, and then the fact that and then the claim that the News Leader is making is validated by the fact that it's the Poverty Law Center that says it, which is validated because the News Leader reports that they said it. And you know what?
Yep.
It's like this cyclical validating machine they have.
No, that's exactly right. I mean, and that's why the SPLC is such a noxious organization. So many conservatives rightly say, to some degree, that being on the hate map is a badge of honor because they think, it shows that we're over the target, that we're making a difference. The problem is that the information ecosystem is so bifurcated that a lot of conservatives know the SPLC isn't reliable. But most people on the left and most people who don't really research these things closely will immediately hear when the legacy media cites the SPLC and says, oh, this is a hateful organization. People aren't going to take the time to really look at and question it. I mean, now, hopefully after COVID, people are questioning things they hear from the legacy media more and more. But I do think, the real strength of the Southern Poverty Law Center is that so many actors on the left, it is their, incentive to use the SPLC as a weapon to justify their attacks on conservatives. So, when we had the parental rights movement and Moms for Liberty started to become a force in mainstream America, the teachers' unions and Democrats and many others and their defenders in the legacy media wanted to find any way to marginalize and demonize and really silence the parental rights movement. And what was more useful to them than an organization that would come out and say, look, Moms for Liberty is a hate group. When the SPLC does that, it gives an undue imprimatur, an undue strength to the arguments that the left already wants to make. And that's why I wrote the book, is because I think more than any other organization in America, the SPLC gives undue legitimacy to the left's cancel culture. And that makes it a unique threat to our ability to ever have real open dialogue in this country.
We are talking with our author of the week, Tyler O'Neill, the book Making Hate Pay, The Corruption of the Southern Poverty Law Center. I was somewhat amused when all of this broke and you had the media and people on the left running defense for the Southern Poverty Law Center, setting up the accusations as the Southern Poverty Law Center. Well, no, they were just basically paying informants to feed them information about what was going on so that they could expose them. And the way they framed that, I thought, well, now, we've seen that before. We've seen that with Project Veritas. We've seen that with James O'Keefe. He's an individual that would go in with undercover people. And you could easily find that this was the case because, well, he would then expose this stuff. You could go online. But I thought, I can't think of a single case that the Southern Poverty Law Center actually exposed. And in fact, according to the indictment, it appears that some of these scenarios, like the Charlottesville situation, not only did they not infiltrate it to expose it and stop it from happening, but they helped plan it through finances.
Yeah, so that's the centerpiece of the indictment. When you look at So I am going to, in the SPLC's defense and in defense of fairness here, say that in court documents, the SPLC has mentioned 2 cases where information that they claim came from their field sources was later used to indict and ultimately convict some of these nefarious actors. Now, those 2 cases, I haven't looked into them that closely. From what I understand, the SPLC didn't tell the federal government until this case was already underway that until the government was already investigating them, that the field sources actually led to the information. So what ended up happening was the SPLC passed along information in these cases that was later used by law enforcement. But that does not mean, and I mean, here's the key thing, they never told law enforcement that they had this program running. And so when they didn't reveal the program until recently, that raises some problems. The other aspect, and I'm glad you mentioned Charlottesville, because that's the key place where, according to the plain text of the indictment, the SPLC was not just paying these people to gain information. According to the indictment, the SPLC was supervising the racist posts of one of the organizers of the Unite the Right rally, which really goes to show that whatever the SPLC's original intentions in launching this program, these field sources were, it seems as though, according to the indictment, that at some point their funding has ended up boosting these organizations and their profile. So, I mean, that's the central claim.
Right.
That's going to be a hard claim to make. I think the government probably has the evidence that they need to make that point. The easier charge, I think, in my estimation, is the bank fraud. If the quotes, and this is something that the SPLC has not denied, if the quotes directly to these banks that are in the indictment, so the SPLC has 2 things. They told the same bank, apparently. First, an SPLC employee told the bank that he was creating these bank accounts on behalf of companies of which he was the sole proprietor. And he wrote this in documents to the bank. And then later, a few years later, the SPLC abruptly closed the accounts, and the president and CEO of the SPLC wrote to the very same bank that the accounts were always managed by the Southern Poverty Law Center, which, I mean, when it comes to cases that are easy to make, bank fraud is usually in just black and white. So when I read that part of the indictment, I said, all right, well, it might be hard to prove some of these charges, but those charges relating to bank fraud, those appear to be a layup. And I don't know how the SPLC is really going to defend itself against those claims.
Which it was sort of my, I guess, final larger question here for our author of the week, Tyler O'Neill, and the book, Making Hate Pay, The Corruption of the Southern Poverty Law Center. It's not just the outward behavior of the Southern Poverty Law Center that has drawn some scrutiny, but even in the past several years, there have been former employees. I think it was in the New Yorker, of all places, a piece that was written by someone who had worked at the Southern Poverty Law Center. And by all accounts, it sounds like a complete train wreck internally in terms of sexual harassment and racism. It's just like one of the most toxic environments that one could possibly even work in.
Yes. So and the irony here is a lot of these claims, the claims of racial discrimination and sexual harassment, they actually trace back decades. When I was doing the research for my book, I found that there was a big scandal in the early 1990s when this was revealed. Morris Dees, the co-founder of the SPLC, had a very nasty divorce in the 1980s where some of this was revealed. And then, of course, in 2019, employees had a big coup and they threw a fit, and ultimately the SPLC fired Morris Dees and had a big changeover of staff at the top, and then essentially tried to brush the scandal under the rug. And that's one of the main reasons why I wrote the book, was because I saw all of these problems, and it wasn't just a flash in the pan. These are issues that were essentially systemic in the Southern Poverty Law Center. And now, I mean, right now we have a union at the SPLC. So get that. It's a nonprofit organization where employees ostensibly join up because they believe in the cause, but now they're unionizing to make sure they make a buck from management. So, you know,
also
square
perfect.
that circle how you will.
I know.
But the union is accusing the SPLC of union busting. And so this institutional rot is still there. Meanwhile, the SPLC has this tremendous undue reputation as the number one opponent of hate. They had a big impact in the Biden administration. Right now, I think there are signs that deep state actors in the DOJ are trying to protect the SPLC from scrutiny and from this indictment. So, you know, this story has only grown since I wrote the book. And that's why, you know, I'm on it like white on rice. I'll be following every development of the indictment. You can follow me at Tyler2, the number 2 O'Neill, and check out my work at dailysignal.com. But like all of this is continuing to grow, and I have, you know, very few. I don't know how many authors get as vindicated as I have been, but I expect the number isn't that high.
Well, and again, I appreciate. I'm sure that part of that vindication has been calls for interviews regarding the Southern Poverty Law Center. As it was the reason I reached out again. In the book, I encourage people to pick it up because of just the tremendous amount of background and insight it gives into the functionality of the Southern Poverty Law Center and helps bring into focus, I think, the recent indictment. Our author of the week, sponsored by ABC Books on North Glenstone, Tyler O'Neill. The book again, Making Hate Pay: The Corruption of the Southern Poverty Law Center. For Springfield's Talk 104.1, I'm Nick Rich.
Springfield's Talk 1041, the first alert forecast from Ozarks First, meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by J&S Automotive. Today we'll see sunny skies with a high near 66. Tonight clear with a low around 47. For your Friday, a slight chance for afternoon showers, otherwise sunny with a high near 77. And taking a look at Saturday, sunny with a high near 79. And Foreman Mechanical Heating and Air, I wanted to read a review for the fine folks over there. Linda, she wrote, I called Foreman Mechanical to work on our air conditioning, and within a couple of hours, someone was here. They quickly found the problem and swiftly fixed it in less than an hour. We thought it would be so much more expensive than it actually was. Pricing was excellent. Thank you so much, Foreman Mechanical. And honestly, that's what you get with the Foreman team. You know, they offer a variety of HVAC services, including their 24/7 emergency service line. I've utilized that a couple of different times because it never fails. It always seems that breakdowns always happen in the middle of the evening, just right after you get home from work or on the weekend. And that 24/7 service line, it can be a lifesaver, so you're not stuck waiting for repairs to get addressed. If it is time to have the Foreman team out to your home, reach out to Russell today. You can find all of the contact information for Foreman Mechanical Heating and Air under the Sarah's Endorsements tab at ksgf.com.
Springfield Symphony Orchestra, Caitlin Pack, how are you?
I am great. Excited for our last concert of the season.
This is the last for the season. Now, I know I ask this probably every time, but does that mean that you're done, or do you still work?
Oh, never. We're never done working.
Yeah.
We are always working to the next season, to the next show, what's going on in the summer. We have lots of things all year round.
What fills that time that normally is filled with seasonal stuff?
Yeah, so especially in the office side, it's all preparation for the next season. So we're really excited for our next season. We will be announcing at the concert this weekend.
Okay, that was going to be my question.
And so right now we are doing everything behind the scenes preparations. You know, we have to do musicians, we have to hire, we have to get music. We have to build all the marketing. For myself is what I do. You know, we film our really fun commercials and our radio PSAs, and we just kind of prep and do everything we can in the time that we have a little bit of extra time where we're not doing events all the time.
Are these like an entire performance? To play the music, I mean, I guess is some of it old enough you don't have to pay to do that? How does that work?
Yeah, so there's a lot of copyright law in the music world. And so a lot of our more classical pieces, you know, they are in the public domain. They're older than 100 years old. So
is that what the mark is, 100?
Yeah,
okay.
There are some pieces like if they're owned or by a certain like trust,
state or so. Okay.
Then those you not quite. You have to get rights. You have to pay for publishing rights and copyrights and all that fun stuff.
Is it minimal? Is it a ton of? Is it the sort of thing people are like? Oh my gosh, I had no idea. I mean, I don't want to ask you exact amounts, but just curious because
you would be surprised how expensive they are.
Yeah, no, I bet because I mean, we play our stations. We have music stations, so it's a similar situation. I think people were shocked to learn what that cost. So I wasn't sure if it's the same with you all.
So we have to pay for the rights to play the pieces, and then we have to pay for the sheet music itself. It's an additional cost. And then if we want to
just like checking into a hotel, they get nickel and dime you.
If you broadcast it, if you want to put it on YouTube later, they might throw an extra fee on that, and then they'll limit how many times you can do that, and the price just keeps up and up and up. But we are very thankful sponsors like you guys who help us cover those costs to make the concerts work.
Well, we're always glad to be able to do that. All right, so performance, is it Saturday?
Yes, so Saturday at 7:30 is our final performance. It'll be Cinderella with the St. Louis Ballet, so another year ending with the ballet, which is always my favorite show. And it's such fun to bring the dancers down here, and it really kind of is a unique opportunity because most of the time if you go to a ballet that has a live orchestra, the orchestra is in the pit. You don't see them. But with our performance, you have the orchestra on stage and the dancers in front of them. While you might not have all the sets and the pretty visuals,
right,
it really just brings it down to the beauty of the ballet and the music together and just the power that they create together.
Yeah. So I ask this for people that don't know. Of course, you were a professional ballerina. I guess that's the right term, right? Yeah.
Maybe not
Or no.
professional, but
Well,
I danced for a long time.
all right.
Yes.
I'm sure somebody had to pay for a ticket at one point. So
Yeah.
as far as I'm concerned, that qualifies you. So you obviously know about the world of and lifestyle of, and you see ballerinas. You talk about the St. Louis, the ballet coming here, and then I just on stage has this prim and proper sort of sense to it. Are they? But I wonder if. Like in real life, are they just off the hook crazy people? Is it a rock and roll lifestyle behind the scenes?
I mean, it's just like any other group of people or any other office. You're going to have people who
Variety
of personalities all coming together to do their work, and their work just happens to be ballet or dancing on stage.
Behind the baton?
There is not. So this is
Okay.
a pretty basic concert for us. So it's just the concert. We have nothing else going on. So it's kind of a nice time for us staff to kind of really focus on the performance, because it is always logistically like having that. We have, I think, 50 dancers or something coming in. So it's a lot of going back and forth and getting things ready. So it's kind of just the concert.
And you mentioned that at the performance you will be unveiling the upcoming season. Is that when people will be able to purchase season? Because you'd all do that, right? Season passes.
So our season tickets, if you're a current season ticket holder, you can actually go ahead and do your renewal now. And you can, if you renew before the 12th, then you'll get your early bird vouchers and extra fun things. And then afterwards, you can still keep your tickets as well. And then we will start getting new season ticket holder passes available soon.
And if someone, they like going, but they're always worried, I just don't know, we're kind of busy, we'll be able to hit all of them. If somebody does do the season pass, can they sort of transfer them off to someone if they're not going to be able to make a performance? Are they able to do that?
Yeah. Okay. A ticket's a ticket. So we always encourage our season ticket holders that if
it's not like Silver Dollar City, you can't pass that season pass.
Well, we always encourage our season tickets to bring friends and have them buy tickets.
Oh yeah, clearly
that's fantastic. But if they are not able to come, we would rather have somebody in the seat. So.
All right, awesome. I can't think of anything else, but congratulations, another season, and then of course there are tickets available still for the upcoming performance.
Quickly this week, with it being graduation and Mother's Day, there's a lot of things going on. So we would love to have you come join us.
All right, Caitlin, as always, can't wait to have you back. I guess it'll be maybe to talk about the upcoming season before it kicks off at some point. Well, have a great weekend.
Thanks.
And happy Mother's Day. I know you have cats.
Yes.
So that you qualify.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right. Springfield's Talk 104.1. I'm Nick Reed. Springfield's Talk 104.1. I am Nick Reed. Welcome, everyone, to the program, hour number 3. Now, if you miss any of the show, don't worry. Of course, we've got the podcast. We've got it set up either at ksgf.com, the KSGF app, Spotify, iTunes, and then on YouTube. So you can go and actually watch the show while you listen to it, and you can get back episodes if you want to do that, or share some of that stuff. You can feel free to do that as well. So a lot of opportunities for you there. There was another just unfortunate sign of New York City becoming unsafe for Jewish people, and the stranglehold that the Democrat Party has on New York City, politically speaking, has allowed anti-Semitism to flourish to the point that Jewish people are leaving and Jewish places are closing up, and the most recent was a daycare. And, only a couple people have spoken out on this. Republicans do, of course, some independents, but Democrats, this is their voter base, the voter activists that are oftentimes either part of the anti-Semitism or are at least sympathetic to it. And so they either, as Democrats, don't want to upset that constituency or also are anti-Semitic themselves. Lifelong New Yorker Michael Rappaport, who's an actor, I say used to be left-wing. He still may be, but he has been very vocal about the violence within the Democrat Party, be it at Trump or Republicans or Jewish people, and the calls for violence and the actions of violence. And increasingly, he has been very outspoken on that, and he is calling out Democrat Governor Kathy Hochul for dragging her feet on imposing a statewide mask ban in the wake of the anti-Semitic protest at the historic Manhattan Synagogue, where a swarm of keffiyeh-clad activists clashed with cops. Rappaport, according to the New York Post, who reportedly is interested in running for mayor of New York City, condemned the Tuesday night clash near Park East Synagogue that he described as the Halloween spring fling. He also shared a clip of the protesters using the keffiyehs to conceal their faces as they toppled police barriers. Quote, right now in New York City, lunatics dressed in Halloween terror costumes are outside of, you guessed it, a synagogue in New York City. Noting that, Hochul, you've had 3 years to do a mask mandate and see if this stops the BS. You did nothing, resign in shame, he said. Now, and there were roughly 100 of these Democrat activists that were clashing with police and shutting down the synagogue. I don't think banning the use of masks is the answer here. Now, whether or not it could be a useful tool in helping to identify people that are violating the law, that are creating a real serious and legitimate fear for Jewish people in New York City. Will that at least help to some degree? It might, but that's clearly not the problem any more than, again, guns are a problem in terms of gun violence. It's a tool that is utilized, and anti-Semitism is the problem. It's a belief system. It's an ideology that has really expanded to a very significant degree within the Democrat Party. And the fact that Democrats not only, and this is sort of Michael Rappaport and Fetterman, we're going to get to him in a moment, are like, where are you guys? Like, why? What is going on? This is them. I mean, this is the problem. The Democrat Party has embraced this. I mean, when you see increasingly Democrats winning primaries or Democrats winning endorsements who praise actual terrorists, who support and defend and praise students who run Jews off of campus because they're Jews, when they embrace their latest candidate up in Maine that they just seem so giddy about, this guy that has he got a Nazi tattoo. He's espoused all sorts of anti-Semitic rhetoric, and had the Nazi tattoo for years and years and years until, and even after he announced his run, apparently believing it would not be a problem for him. Republicans made enough stink about it that he covered it up with another tattoo. And he said all sorts of other misogynistic and racist things against black people and rape victims, how they need to take accountability for their own actions in being raped. But point being is, when you have Democrats now embracing and promoting, and I'm talking Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders, somebody like that, this Plattner character up in Maine, the Democrat Party's gone. In terms of a party that isn't racist, that isn't misogynistic, that isn't anti-American. Any sort of Democrat Party that once upon a time existed for the hardworking American, looking out for Americans, that didn't believe in that party's gone. That ship has sailed. And the fact that you've got a posting regarding this latest situation by Democrat Senator John Fetterman from Pennsylvania, and he posted a picture of all of these left-wing activists, and he shared a posting from a rabbi noting, to summarize the evening, the mob came to a synagogue, forced a Jewish daycare to close early, came with a Hezbollah flag, cheered the Intifada, and said, "We don't want Zionists here. We cannot normalize this behavior." It's, again, that ship has sailed. This is normal behavior in the Democrat Party. We keep, and I understand the point here. We can't normalize this behavior. We've become so comfortable with it that we don't even realize, I think it's been normalized. It's just beyond the ability for the average American to conceptualize that this sort of behavior has become the norm in the Democrat Party. But like I said, I mean, when Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders and a majority of Democrats in Maine in particular support candidates that are these people, then that's normalized. It's not only normalized, it's promoted. Now, Fetterman, the exception in the Democrat Party, posted mob of pro-Hezbollah Hamas blankheads raging against law enforcement and terrorizing the New York City Jewish community near a synagogue and daycare. Where is my party's condemnation? I mean, I think we know where it is. It has been choked out by anti-Semitism within your party. This is your party. John Fetterman asking, "Where is my party?" They're the ones doing the protesting. You're looking at them. That video that you shared of the pro-Hamas terrorist shutting down a Jewish daycare and a synagogue, that is your party. And don't get me wrong, I mean, Fetterman continues to be what the average Democrat used to be 20, 30 years ago. And it's a rarity, and he knows it's a rarity. This is why the Democrats are gunning to replace him, because he's not anti-Semitic, and he doesn't believe in violence against political opposition. And I know that there are a lot of Democrats out there that don't want to believe that that is the reality, but why is it the only U.S. senator that is a Democrat, the only U.S. senator that is a Democrat that is speaking out against this stuff is the one Democrat senator that the Democrats are trying to unseat? Why do you think that is? And I think that there are, I get it, if you're a Democrat that isn't racist, that's not anti-Semitic, you don't believe in violence, you don't really have a place to go. I mean, if your values are not Republican values, you can't change your belief system on a dime, your fundamental core beliefs. And so, but this is how they convert you over to their side of evil and darkness and anti-Semitism, is because they bank on you saying, well, I don't believe in lower taxes, and, I don't believe in the environmental policies of Republicans, so I guess I got to stay with the anti-Semites. That's how they get you. So you just got to make a decision, which, in fact, we continue to see these stories as to whether Fetterman is going to leave the Democrat Party. And if not become Republican, become independent. Now, of course, I don't think that he should do anything until he runs for re-election and see if he does. If he does get ousted in the Democrat primary, then all right, you can look at some of that. And I don't know the laws in Pennsylvania if you can then become independent and run as that. But he thus far has suggested that he is a Democrat. His belief system are Democrats, and he's going to stay there. But I think at some point he's going to have to wake up and realize, maybe with some issues, but what's more important? There was a bit of controversy for Epic Place, Grand Prairie, Texas, is a taxpayer-funded water park that announced a Muslim-only day, and it was going to be only for Muslims. And so the Governor Abbott's like, yeah, you can't do that. You can't use a taxpayer-funded facility to discriminate for religious beliefs. So they've changed it, and it's like, oh, no, it's still open to everyone, but everyone will be required to have modest dress. And on the flyer, at least previously, they listed modest dress as bikinis for the ladies and swim trunks and shirts for men. So it's going to be interesting to see if they try, if they say, okay, yes, this is an event open for everyone, but you have to abide by Muslim customs when it comes to the swimsuit that you wear, or if they'll just, let freedom ring. Springfield's Talk 104.1. I'm Nick Green. Glenn Beck's next.